Are we really doing...
Heresy!
It's so stupid.
Heresy!
Are you gonna do that the whole time?
Heresy!
You're really loud.
Heresy?
Just play the music.
Heresy! Welcome to Faith-Filled Nerds, where two happily married nerds explore Christian symbolism, iconography, and theology in various fandoms.
Our goal is to pit them against the source and see how accurate or inaccurate they are.
I'm John Mark.
And I'm Michelle. And we're here to explore Games Workshop's Warhammer 40K.
Woo!
This wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
We're doing the Pokemon one next.
Yeah, okay, sure. So, I love 40K.
I know.
I love... This is one of my favorite fandoms.
I know.
And it is not one of yours.
No, it's not at all.
I know. I
know a lot.
Yeah, because I vomit at you.
Yeah, that's gross.
Like, just...
Don't vomit at me, please.
No, I vomit the information.
I know.
Like, usually...
I know. It was to the point where I was able to answer people's questions about it.
Yeah.
Where were we at? We were at the game shop and...
So, for those of you who are not familiar with this particular franchise, it is a sci-fi, space opera kind of thing that is set in the far distant future of the 41st millennium. Because
what
in
is
the grim...
the 41st millennium? Is that... What's the date?
Well, we are in the 20...
We're in the 21st
first millennium.
Yeah.
So it's the 40, so it's like 20,000 years.
20,000? I thought it was like 4,000. Is it really like that much far in the future?
I think it is.
And humans are still really lame?
Well, they're lame for reasons. A lot of it has to do with
no such thing as progression.
Well, part of it has to do with robot men, but we don't need to get into that. Okay, so Warhammer 40K is a sci-fi space opera set in the far-flung future.
38,000 years. 38,000 years in the future.
It was started back in the late 80s.
Yeah, with the better one, fantasy.
Yeah, and it really feels like that they just took all of their fantasy stuff and like, what if we put it in space?
What if we made it worse?
Oh, no. Actually... Well, I'm not going to get into the Age of Sigmar
I have
stuff.
Opinions.
I know. So let's kind of get into this because I know I could literally talk about this for hours, but we've got stuff to get through.
Actual theme with it. Are you going to go over this giant block of words?
So
Mr. Dyslexic.
I'm going to try to summarize at least the important bits of Warhammer 40K in as little time as I possibly can.
15 seconds, go.
What? No.
10.
So, most of our backstory takes place in the 31st millennium with a godlike being known as the Emperor. Known only as the Emperor, sorry. He had a plan to unite the scattered remnants of humanity throughout the galaxy. He did this by taking pieces of his own DNA and creating 14 superhumans known as Primarchs, and from their genetic code made 14 legions of Space Marines, also known as Astartes. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt here, but I just wanted to point out I was slightly mistaken on this point. There were actually 20 original Primarchs, thus 20 original Space Marine legions. However, 2 of them were considered lost legions and have been stricken from the record for reasons. But yeah, sorry about that. Back to the show. The Four Gods of Chaos, not so keen on this, decide to interrupt the Emperor's plan by scattering the Primarchs all throughout the galaxy. The Emperor had to get together a group of people and go out and
fetch quest?
Yeah, basically fetch quest.
Why don't we ever play games with that? Can't we ever play Fetch Quest the Primarchs? Sounds like a video game. They should do a video game called Fetch Quest the Primarchs.
I play that.
I know, it sounds way more interesting than the modern stuff. Anyway, continue.
Well, anyway, so after he gets all of his wayward sons back together, together. The Emperor leaves his favorite son in charge of the whole crusade, Horus.
I couldn't remember who it was, which is stupid because I know that.
Is Horus. And he goes off to...
Don't play favorites, Dad.
It's true. He goes off to monkey around with the webway, which is not important to this. Just know it's a better way of traveling throughout the stars than their current option, which is...
It's fantasy space travel.
Yeah, fantasy space travel.
Wormhole, basically.
Because what they have to do right now is literally take a shortcut through hell.
Yep. Anyway, continue.
Horus, at this point being more of a loose collection of insecurities, neuroses, and daddy issues, is sort of a prime target for the Chaos Gods to turn...
Which Chaos God got him?
It really was more... This is like one of the few times in the lore where the four actually work together on a plan.
Okay.
Anyways, the Chaos Gods orchestrate a plan, causing fall to chaos. Of course he does, because, yeah...
You gotta have your story.
And he convinces half of the Legion to join him.
Half of all Space Marine?
Yeah, half of the Primarchs joined him.
Oh.
And those I didn't
realize it was half the Primarchs. That's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, it was half the Primarchs. And...
I gotta be careful, I'm gonna actually sound interested.
Yeah. So yeah, he convinces half of the Primarchs to join him, thus creating the Horus heresies, because people love alliterations. This big, long civil war rages throughout the galaxy until the final conflict, which is known as the Siege on Terra, where all of the traitor legions...
Hold on. The Terra's Earth, everybody.
I would hope that people... Anyways.
Look.
I know. Horus, knowing that it's just a stalemate, decides to see if he can 1v1 his daddy, and drops the shields on a ship so that the Emperor can teleport there.
Remember,
and
he's a godlike being. He has like a whole bunch of powers.
No, they have teleporters.
No, he teleported.
And actually
I wouldn't put it past him to be able to teleport.
I don't think that's part of it. Well, it might be part of his power set now, but... Does
he have a power set now when he's... Never mind.
Yeah.
I thought he was basically a corpse.
He has a presence in the warp.
Oh.
That's a video for another... Or that's a conversation for another time.
He's all around us.
Yeah, no.
He's Jesus.
No, because there's so much. We're gonna get into that later. Anyways, the Emperor and Horus do battle. The Emperor, not wanting to kill his favorite son, kind of holds back. Horus, having no such reservations, proceeds to kick the snot out of him until the Emperor realizes that no, my baby boy is long gone, and kills him with mind bullets.
Was it mind bullets?
Yeah, well, because
he psychicked him to death?
Yeah, because they were fighting on both the physical plane and the psyker plane.
So even though he was backed by 4 Chaos Gods, he couldn't beat his... Okay.
Couldn't do it.
I mean, he did injure him.
Yeah, he mortally injured him. And they took him back, sat him on the Golden Throne, which sustains the Emperor's life for the paltry price of 1,000 unlucky souls every day. 1,000 people get sacrificed to that thing every day just to keep him alive. And that's kind of where we are.
And now you're all wondering, what does this have to do with Christian anything?
Well, this is kind of the thing about 40K. It really feels like it takes like a lot of our worst failings throughout the church, because though the church as a concept is holy and sanctified, the church in practice is something that's physical.
Like, well, there's the uppercase C church, and then there's the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of
it's
churches...
full of normal people with sin and fault and...
Yeah, they're run by people, and people are fallen, broken preachers with faults and issues. So Warhammer 40K really does seem to like take all of like the worst parts of church history and like dial them up to 11. So one of such examples is a period in between what anyone who plays the tabletop game knows as 40K and the Horus Heresy. There's this interim part where a bunch of stuff happens, including the War of the Beast, which is probably something you'd be more interested in than this.
I don't even know what that is.
It was a big orc invasion.
Oh, that's way cooler.
Yeah. But something else that happened during this time was something called the Age of Apostasy. I'm going to simplify this a lot. So you had this, one of the High Lords of Terra.
Can you tell them what apostasy means?
Apostasy is...
you tell them what the Age of Apostasy is, and I will look up the word apostasy.
I know what it is, I just don't know how to put it into...
Yeah, I will look it up.
Yeah. So the whole thing kind of was brewing for a while, because after the Emperor is interned in the Golden Throne, all of these little sort of cults imperial cults start popping up. The emperor himself was very much atheistic. He did not want, in fact, the imperial truth at the time of the Great Crusade was there are no gods, there are no demons, only science and reason.
Well, that didn't work out when there's chaos gods.
Well, yeah, he was literally, that the imperial truth was literally a lie. He knew that there were demons and all these other creatures, but he figured that if he could spread atheism, he'd basically starve them out.
Yeah, because they thrive off belief.
Yeah.
Which is a running theme I'm finding more and more in fiction.
Yeah.
Is that these beings who are more powerful, either good or bad, or,
malevolent or benevolent.
Yeah, or neutral.
Yeah.
Always seem to, like, feed... one of the running themes is, like, humanity's creativity and ability to believe feeds these things.
Yeah.
Which is not true for Christians. God exists whether we exist or don't.
Yeah.
He has always existed.
Yeah,
and always will exist. Like, he is always, and he'll always be the God. He'll always be just as powerful. He's not changing.
Yeah.
But for the sake of fiction, there's this really interesting tool of creativity that they use to power these beings, right? Now, it's not, I'm talking about from an author standpoint. Not necessarily, like, and I just think it's a fun narrative.
Yeah. But it also kind of goes into, like, a lot of...
apostasy.
Oh, what does apostasy mean?
The abandonment or ruinification of a religious or political belief.
That's what I thought it meant.
Can you explain that to me? Because I read it and I'm like, It says execution of their leader for apostasy brought widespread criticism. Is there example? Which is not.
So, it's basically, I guess the best example I could think of, a religious leader is,
an act of refusing to continue to follow, obey, or recognize a religious faith. Okay, so that's why the people from that crazy cult in Utah will call the people who leave apostates.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I think I knew that, but my brain couldn't.
Yeah.
You were talking about the age of apostasy. So there's these cults popping up.
And
they're claiming are apostates then? Because they're...
No, these cults popping up that worship the emperor as a god.
Oh, right, because that hasn't... Yeah, because no one believes that. Okay, right now.
And one of these cults kind of grows and grows and grows and ends up actually working its way into the government and becoming the state religion, thus creating...
That's the 40K we know now.
Well, not quite, because the ecclesiarchy, which is basically the religious branch of the governing body.
You're not breaking this down simple enough for me. And that's just not for anybody else who doesn't know.
So the ecclesiarchy is like the religious body of the government. That's all you really need to know about that.
I think I was just trying to say all you really need to say is these cults eventually led to the state in 40K where they worship the emperor as a god.
That is the state. Yeah, it's the state religion in the 40K.
Yeah, they worship him as a god, and they have basically set up a very church-like.
Yes.
Like the clothing, the clothing they wear,
everything,
the symbolism they have.
Even the
they have bishop-like dresses and like very Catholic, older Catholic cardinal feel to a lot of it. They have rites. They have laws that feel very biblical.
I mean, even like the Space Marines, when they are getting their armor and stuff together, they will.
Who runs the country? Who runs the country? It's not a country. Who runs the Imperium?
The High Lords of Terra.
Okay, and how many High Lords are there?
Oh crap.
Okay, so there's a bunch of dudes. I'm assuming they're mostly dudes.
Yeah, I think there's like at least one for each branch of the government, like one representative for each branch, I think. Anyways, so the ecclesiarchy and the administrorum, which is the main, like, regular bureaucratic government at the time, were kind of vying for power. At this time. Like, there'd be times where the ecclesiarchy had more power, and then there'd be times when the administratum, the government, the regular government, which is kind of reflected in history, that dynamic.
I mean, it is reflected in history, because if we're going to compare this to... you're going to find a lot of our talk end up comparing it to the Catholic Church, just because it was the founding church.
It was.
It is most of our Christian history comes from the Roman Catholic Church. And we respect that and honor that, but there's also a lot, and there was a lot of bad people who use the church to gain power.
And I will say this, like...
And they do it still too, no matter if Catholic, Protestant, other stints.
Understand.
I don't know.
The main three one are the
We're trying to say is we're not trying to lay this all on the Catholic Church and say it's all their fault.
And it goes, and I would like to say...
This is just a people thing using the governmental power and religion to control and do what they want.
And I would like to say, like, there's some, like, people that don't think this, and I think they're wrong, but I would say that since Catholics and Protestants both worship the same God, we both believe that Jesus Christ came to earth, lived amongst us, died for our sins. Catholic, Protestant, Eastern Orthodox, that we are all brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yeah. We're not.
So.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm just
we
laying
just wanted
that
that to be clear. Catholics out there, we love you.
We do. You are our brothers and sisters in Christ. But the other reason that I think that the Catholic Church gets used a lot in media is because, honestly, aesthetically, it's cooler looking.
Well, aesthetically, it's cooler looking, and their iconography is really cool looking. It also has a ton of symbolism. I took iconography class. Like, you look at a painting or a stained glass of a Roman Catholic in a church.
Yep.
Like, it's not just a painting. Every single thing in that painting means something.
Yeah.
The red means heaven. The halo means... I can't remember what the halo means. There's all sorts of things. Like, that's where we get halos from. It's literally these paintings.
Yeah.
Like, halos they're not biblical. They're just... It's a symbol and a painting that means holy or means divine. You know, Mary will mean something when where her hands are at. It means something. So, like, there's just such a deep, rich message into all of these imagery that the Roman Catholic Church came up with to teach and educate its people because they couldn't read.
Yeah, they couldn't read, so it was literally a painting is worth 1,000 words.
It's just a smorgasbord, really, for fiction.
Yep.
And it's relatable.
Yep.
So
anyways, this power struggle between these two factions kind of comes to a head with a High Lord named Goad Van Dyer. And now
is it Goge or Goge?
It's Goge or Goad. I've heard it both ways.
Goge doesn't make sense. There's no D in the name.
So Goge.
I guess it's Goge.
Goge.
Goji? How about it's Goji? Goji.
But I'm sorry, like, Goge Van Dyer, like, that is the most evil name I think I've...
You don't have to yell at the mic. The mic didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to yell at it.
It's like in the Green Lantern stuff, when... You know, Sinestro falls.
Oh, yeah, his name's Sinestro.
And I'm just like, and they're all like, what? Sinestro betrayed us?
Sinestro?
He was the greatest
There's
of us.
Like that. And old Marvel stuff. You're like, what? You're a bad guy?
Yeah, or like...
Oh!
Or like you see some of those like sort of sword and sandal.
Enchantress? Yeah. You're enchanting people against their will?
Right?
Oh no! I know she has a real name, but
like you see some of those old sword and sandal things, and you know the Sultan comes out and he's like, "This is my most trusted advisor," and you look at him and it's like, "That's like a bad guy."
The Jafar, or when you're watching Road to Camelot.
Yeah.
And they're at the round table at the beginning, and they're like, truth, honor, justice. And then the one bad guy lays down, and he's like,
power.
And you look at him, and he is completely different from everybody else. Like, I wonder who's the bad guy. Like,
so for whatever reason, well, there was a reason.
So Goge Van Dyer is definitely a bad guy?
Yeah, oh yeah. He orchestrates a plan where he basically gets a patsy in the ecclesiarchy to just mess up so bad that he's able...
a figurehead, basically?
Yeah.
A puppet?
Yeah, but it's not just a puppet, he's like a fall guy.
Sorry, guys, I'm so burpy.
He sets this guy up to fail so bad that he has to...
Come and fix it?
He's justified in having this coup and taking over both.
That's fine. That sounds like something that happened, actually. So.
Yeah, and as we all know, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
And it's what he does, basically. You have listed here, bad popes. Is this kind of the papacy that starts then?
Yes. So okay. you have this merging between the church and state, right? And one person is at the top. Mm-hmm. And that would be too much power for like a sane person to have. Mm-hmm. But from what a lot of the lore says, like he wasn't like playing with the full deck to begin with.
Yeah.
But out of all this is where we get the Sisters of Battle. So yay. Nuns
I have a game for you.
Okay.
Because you told me about bad popes, so I looked up some bad popes. And I know the game. I'm going to say the pope's name.
All right.
And you're going to tell me what the bad thing they're known for in history.
All right.
You're going to have to guess. Because you won't know anybody.
All right.
Sergius III. What did he do? What do you think he did?
I'm gonna probably be guessing a lot of times.
I can just throw like the 3 common things you want. Okay.
Yeah, like infidelity of some kind.
Yes. Partly.
Oh, okay.
But that wasn't what got him in trouble.
Oh, what got him in trouble?
He declared all his rivals to the papacy anti-popes, which is kind of a cool name. Hello, I'm the anti-pope.
Okay.
And got one of them killed for it.
Oh, well.
And then he probably followed another pope later on, known Pope John the 11th? X1? Is that 11?
X1, yeah, that would be 11.
Okay, the 11th. Anyway, do we want more popes?
Yeah, let's.
All right, I got a lightning round for you.
Okay.
This is Pope Benedict the 9th, and I'm going to ask you, I only got like 3 questions here, and you just have to answer real fast. How many times was he made pope?
Twice?
Nope, 3 times.
Oh.
What did his colleagues call him? I'll give you 2 options.
Okay.
1, demon from hell, or 2, so vile, so foul, so inexcusable.
I'm gonna go with that one because it's much more descriptive.
I tricked you. It's both.
Oh, dear. Jeez Louise.
Well, that finally ended his reign.
I'm gonna guess
he bought it once.
He bought it once.
He came back when another guy was doing worse than him, I guess. I don't remember. He came back as like, I guess I'm... Oh, one he sold it to his godfather. The other time he came back and was just like, actually, I'm Pope. Really? And I think they gave it back to him. Anyway, why did it finally end?
I'm gonna guess a knife in the chest.
No, Germany came in with an army and chased him out.
Oh.
He didn't die. He gotta live.
Okay.
Okay. Pope John the 11th.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think he did?
I'm gonna break from the flow and say like some sort of embezzlement.
Nope. He was only 18 years old when he became Pope.
Okay.
So what does a horny teenager do? He turned the papacy into basically a frat house and a brothel. Celibacy was not his thing.
Oh.
So that's when you should have been saying.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Another lightning round.
Okay.
Pope Leo the 10th.
Okay.
What did Pope Leo love?
The ladies?
Nope, the finer things. Arts, paintings. He was during the Renaissance.
Okay. Fair enough.
How did he drive the church into debt?
I'm gonna say bought a lot of paintings.
How do you think he got out of debt? How did he fix the church?
Sold all the paintings?
Nope. Indulgences! Everybody, indulgences!
Oh, yes!
You want to be forgiven? You want to get your mama out of hell? You better pay some money.
That's right, indulgences.
Indulgences.
Like
he wasn't very popular.
one of the many different things that
most of this is during the Renaissance. We went through popes like crazy during the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to do all of them? Just get them done?
Sure.
Okay. Pope Urban the Sixth. What did he do?
Declared war on something. I don't know.
His election was the cause of the Western Schism. 3 popes all vying for the seat.
Oh.
Do you remember the Western Schism when everything broke apart?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Kind of like what happened here a little bit. There was a lot of people vying for it, trying to...
Yep.
That's all he really did is he got elected and everyone was like, nope.
Yep.
So, he didn't really do much else. He just caused the schism in the church. All right, here's my favorite pope. This is Pope Boniface.
What? So what? I'm sorry.
I think it's Boniface, probably, but I don't know how to say it, but it's literally Boniface.
Oh, Pope Boniface.
Yeah, Pope Boniface.
Okay, sure. All right.
The 8th, if I'm reading the things right.
Roman numerals.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to tell you what this is. So this is like one of the earlier ones, I believe. Anyway, he had a very my way or the highway attitude with everything. So he's had a lot of fights. He kicked out. He's the reason that Dante.
Dante
Alighieri, the author of a little story known Dante's Inferno, he actually excommunicated him and kicked him out and got his cronies to chase him off.
Yep, and probably kind of.
He also got in a fight with the King of France. I didn't write down which one. He just got in a fight with one. And he made a declaration that all kings and armies were under the papacy. They were under his rule.
Okay.
Because the Pope and the monarchies kind of went back and forth. So he wasn't really popular with the monarchies.
I bet not.
So when he died, he earned a very important spot on the 8th circle of hell in Dante's Inferno.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Dante got him. I got him good.
Yep.
So Pope Stephen the... No, that was... did I say 6 earlier? That was wrong. That was 8. So this is Pope Stephen the 6th. This is the 6th. After being elected, took his predecessor's corpse. This guy's crazy. He was like... Alright, man, I really hate that guy. I hate the guy that was before me so much. I'm putting him on trial. But sir...
Oh yeah, I remember this!
He's dead, sir. He's already Catholically buried in the ground. No.
Dig him up!
Dig him up! dug him up, dressed him up, put him on the throne.
Yes, this was buck wild.
Found him guilty.
And excommunicated him.
And had his corpse dragged through the streets.
Yeah.
This guy held a grudge. But it's fine because a year later he died by strangling.
Yep. Yep, I remember that. Like, that's such a buck wild story. And it happened. Like,
That actually happened.
That's like... It's not made up. It happened.
Popes were. I actually have a lot of respect for like the Pope and stuff like that. That whole thing nowadays is very well done. Like I actually really think they're very godly men. I do agree.
Because this stuff, they finally, after this was all done, they were like, maybe we should have more rules.
I do have one more.
Okay.
Because it's the most important one.
Oh yes, this guy.
Pope Alexander VI. He's the last on my list, but not the least, Rodrigo Borgia.
Yep.
Who has a show named after him.
Oh, yes.
The Borgias.
The Borgias. Oh, the Borgias.
It's not just like his whole family's messed up. First off, they're like all incestuous, from what I remember. They're just crazy.
Because I think Lucretia and Gisargo were...
there was a whole... I don't know. I mean, some of it might just be Assassin's Creed information, because I know they were in Assassin's Creed too.
They were big in that.
But anyway, he bought the papacy.
Yep.
He bought the electors. He bribed them.
Yep.
He killed off the rival cardinals. Anyone that questioned him, he got him killed off.
Yep.
And of course, he famously ignored the vow of chastity. He had many mistresses and many, many bastard children.
Yeah, a lot
and the rest of his family, as we said, was just as crazy. Oh yeah, he loved to give relative spots. He'd be like, "You're promoted to cardinal. You're a cardinal.
Yep.
He's just like, everybody's a cardinal."
And he kept marrying his daughter off to different families to basically bring them into the family, and then.
Yeah, I didn't I just got blurbs.
Yeah, either like assassinating him or annulling the marriage, but he was like, "You're no longer married to my daughter, but we still have all your stuff."
Yeah. So, this Gorgi Vandier, what did he do?
Gorgi Vandier.
How did he go crazy? What was if he was on here in my list of bad popes?
Well,
almost gonna be Pope Bonyface.
Because this is 40K and everything's ratcheted up to 11.
Yes.
So to start with,
remember, male power fantasy.
Yeah. To start with, he exterminated a bunch of planets, which means basically killing
all life.
Yeah, killing all the people.
No, all life, isn't it? It's just like isn't it just like nuke the whole planet?
There's different levels.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes an exterminatus can go so far as igniting the core and blowing up the planet. Other times it's just scouring of life. Remind
me to talk about the language that this game uses after you're done telling me all the bad things good old Gorgo did. Gorg. Gog? Maybe his name's Gog. I'm gonna look it up. It probably won't tell me.
Gog Vandire. Anyways.
What a lame name. Vandire's a cool last name.
Vandire's the first name. So, of course, he killed multiple, millions and billions of people. One thing that he did, that was sort of, I don't know if I would say it's good, but it's interesting. He actually found a sort of a splinter cult of all-female emperor worshippers.
G-O-G-E, Gog, I guess that's how you say it.
Yep. Known as the...
Hello, I'm Gog.
Brides of the Emperor.
What?
So he found...
He
found this as the
sect of the... Oh, he made the Sisters of Battle?
Yes, because...
But they're actually cool.
Because what he did was, he found these basically nuns, and he came to him and was like, I am the embodied, I'm the
voice of the emperor.
I am the voice of the emperor, so you work for me. So he took these women, and he basically turned them into his personal,
battle nuns?
Personal battle, like, it does say that, like,
we
explicitly.
Love battle nuns.
Yeah, explicitly
battle
that
nuns
he
are cool.
Turns them into his own assassins. The lore implies that he may have taken other liberties. It's not explicit, but...
Male power fantasy.
Yeah. Now, what's kind of fun about how his story ends, because again...
Does the battle nun kill him? Because that's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually...
Yeah, get it.
So,
destroy him.
Things got so bad with this guy.
Good for her.
It almost was another Horus heresy.
Okay.
Like, the Space Marine Legions...
definitely was corrupted.
Yes. Well...
But see, I think the thing we gotta remember, I even think in 40K, is humans can be bad without being infected by the chaos.
By chaos. Though he would have arguments with himself and would constantly be...
that's a...
Yeah.
Which one is that would do that? I feel
well,
like that's
it could be
ZG, isn't it?
It could have been anything. Actually, Slanesh, because Fulgrim.
No, wait, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, right before he fully filled.
I do. I know things.
It's not important.
I don't know a lot of things, but I know things.
So there's this big sort of almost like a new siege on Terra, and some of the Custodi are hearing all this fighting, and they sort of peek their head out and be like, "What the heck?"
What's a Custodi?
They are the bodyguards of the Emperor. Like they're the
so they just kind of hang out in the room with the Emperor, basically. Then
kind of. There's also like a big like broken webway gate that may or may not be vomiting demons out.
Yeah.
So there's that. And one of the Custodians like, what's going on? And sees this, basically battle going on. And through some I'm gonna shorten this a lot. He ends up taking the head nun, I guess, the leader of the Brides of the Emperor, into the chamber that has the Emperor. And the lore explicitly says no one knows what transpired there. But when she came out, she was upset. And she very quickly and efficiently liberated Mr. Van Dyer of his noggin.
Good for her.
Yeah.
There's that little like gif of just the lady sitting there going, good for her.
Yeah. So because of that whole thing, yes, we get the sister battle, but it also kind of creates this furthering of this sort of like brutal theocratic dictatorship that we know as the 40K universe, including something segue into Language, yes.
I just thought it's interesting. And one of the interesting things about this universe, like, I'm never going to read the books. I've played one game, and I liked it because it was a big fighty game.
Yeah, Space Marine, it was a good game.
There's like several. Isn't there more than just Space? Anyway.
That was the game you played.
I know, but like, they have other games called Space Marine, so it's like confusing. Is this the one where you're literally just like, you get on a planet and you play a big blue space...
Yeah, you play an Ultramarine.
And you just go through and it's a generic plot, generic everything, very cliche, very, very enjoyable though. Like I actually played the online ones where I fought people.
Yep.
Anyway, like, I keep saying male power fantasy. It's kind of a joke, really, I guess what I like to say. It's just because I think it's funny. But in the end, I do respect that it has a lot of stuff. And it has a lot of stuff that's been thought out pretty well. Especially the words they use. Like, it sounds very... churchy.
Yep.
Sounds very Latin-y.
I think it's supposed to be...
I don't know if it actually is Latin. Excommunicate Traitoris actual Latin?
I don't
know.
think so.
Anyway, you go ahead and talk about it, and then I will talk about it.
So, I guess that does kind of go into, segue into the next thing.
In Latin. Proditor.
So, yeah, no, not even close. So... going into you're talking about terms, one of the terms used by the Emperor's Holy Inquisition.
Yeah, I will down to my Inquisition section on my...
Which we'll get to here, is something called excommunicatum traitorum. It is the highest form of censure that the government can place upon somebody. Mm-hmm. And it basically, it is a death sentence. If you are declared excommunicatum traitorum,
mm-hmm.
To start with.
Yeah.
To start with.
It's basically a death sentence.
So if it's an individual, that individual's name is stricken from any records, any accomplishments they may have done, those are gone. If it's an organization, that organization is dismantled, stripped, and all record of it is removed. For Space Marine legions, it's especially bad because not only...
Have they excommunicated a whole... I guess that all the Chaos ones are excommunicated, huh?
Yep, they're all excommunicatum traitorum. There's actually been a few ones...
Can, like, individually... I guess they were trying to excommunicate Titus by the end of that game, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they were trying him for heresy.
Yes, which means they were trying to get him that.
Yeah.
Because, because he was a, you gotta do what you gotta do, and sometimes you gotta do the bad thing.
Technically, what...
He was very much a... It's the code is a guy's life.
Yeah.
And that's got him in trouble.
It did get him in trouble, but...
Because the younger one was like, no, I drink the Kool-Aid. You can't do that. That was his voice actor.
He probably wouldn't have been... He might not have been declared excommunicatum traitorum.
Not yet.
He could have if he was found guilty, he could have sought the Emperor's forgiveness and done some sort of penitence.
We'll never know.
We'll never know because company went under. They got bought out. And
I actually wanted to know. It left on such a cliffhanger. I'm still mad.
it did.
As I said, the storyline was very cliche, but it was like cliches.
It was enjoyed.
Cliches are not bad.
Yeah.
I will say that. Use a cliche. It's fine. Anyway, continue.
So for a Space Marine Legion that is declared excommunicatum traitorum, their chapter keep is destroyed. Usually their recruiting home world is either repurposed or in some cases exterminatus. Any and all of their gene seed, which is the genetic material to make more Space Marines, that's all destroyed.
I feel like that's counterproductive for how hard it is to make a Space Marine.
It is. That is how serious this particular censure is.
Okay. So they can't individually just get rid of like a single Space Marine from a unit. It doesn't take your whole unit out if you... Okay.
It depends on
Hopefully.
how like super like.
You would think they could
Zillista.
at least keep the gene seed because the gene seed's not infected.
To them, it is.
Crazy religious nuts.
Yep.
Says the Christian. So that's their exterminatus is their excommunicate is very final.
Yes.
You said there is ways, but in the end, like one of the ways is like you could literally go, yeah, I'm guilty. And then you're like, okay, you're forgiven by death.
Yeah, if you seek forgiveness, you can be granted a quick, painless death.
Yes. So excommunication in the Catholic Church, and what I've gotten is for the older times, like in the past. It's apparently still relevant now. They don't use it very often, if at all.
Yeah.
But it's technically still on the books from what I read. I could be wrong. There's a lot of information out there on this, and it's a lot. There's just a lot. And I don't want to... I'm not Catholic, so I could be wrong. But this is at least how it worked in the times that we've been looking at. Like with the popes and the...
Well, they still have popes, but you know...
Okay, but with the bad popes.
Yeah.
And with the Inquisition.
Yes.
When you are excommunicated from the church, you cannot participate in the Eucharist. Yep. You cannot receive the body of Christ. You cannot participate in the rituals, kind of like that. You cannot have a Catholic burial, which is basically damning you.
Yep.
You have to be buried in a certain way on Catholic ground by a Catholic priest, or you
don't get to go to heaven.
You don't necessarily go to hell. You might go to like limbo
Purgatory.
or wait, which one did they get rid of?
I think limbo.
I think limbo. Well, anyway, back then they had limbo and purgatory. So. Man, have that kind of power.
Yeah, I know. Right?
I know. Okay, sorry. People were not allowed to talk to you. If they were Christians could not talk to you. Now, in a Dark Ages, Middle Ages, Renaissance age, Europe.
Yep.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
They were not allowed to talk to you. They were not allowed to rent to you. They were not allowed to give you food. You were basically cut off from all help of the church. That meant your own family.
Yep.
So your own family couldn't let you live in the house. They couldn't, if they were found out helping you, they got in big trouble. They might also get excommunicated. They might just excommunicate your whole family.
Yep.
It was a great way to grab your stuff in a way, or to dismantle your business.
Oh, yeah.
There was, of course, ways to return to the church. There was a penance you could do. You could go through a process. Sometimes it's a pilgrimage. Sometimes there's all sorts of different things you can do, which is very similar to what you can do with the Inquisition if you pleaded guilty on whatever the heresy they called you on.
Yep.
I mean, Martin Luther was excommunicated.
Yep.
When he did his thing. And then later on, they were like, hey, come here, putting you on trial, you have to defend what you believe. So he got a chance to come back if he wanted. I can't remember if he actually did it. He might have. I need to look, but to defend himself. Like, it wasn't impossible to come back, especially if you were pretty influential, because whole Keens got excommunicated.
Yep.
Which sucked, but at the same time, they were still keen, so they probably weren't, like, starved out. But they did oftentimes, when you got excommunicated by a pope, like some of these popes, the bad popes would excommunicate you, they would have their cronies run you out of town, so you were really screwed.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you weren't usually hurt beyond just the lack of having access to things.
Yeah.
It didn't mean that people didn't take advantage of that. I'm sure people if people hated you and you got excommunicated, I'm sure they could take you out into the woods and you could disappear and no one could do anything about it.
Yeah, because you're a non-person
You're
at that point.
not a person.
Yeah.
So, it's a little less, it's not death, like in the... at the Traitoris.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's likened to death.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the way they do that is like I say, they remove you from the community. And you were saying you've been watching a lot on some of these like crazy cults.
I've been watching. Lifetime show Escape Polygamy, which deals with the cults in Utah, Colorado cities. It's the Latter-day Saints fundamentalist cult that broke off from the Mormon church. There's one there, and then there's the LDS, which is another one down in Texas. And they basically teach you this. Like, they say, hey, if you do not follow our rules and do everything like we tell you to do, you will be damned. You will go to hell.
Yep.
And not only that, but if you leave, we will tell your family to treat you as if you are dead.
Yep.
I don't know what this has to do with anything that we're talking about here, so I don't really want to dwell on it because it's very much a modern world problem we have right now.
Yeah.
And we are talking about this, so let's get back to this.
But with this, it wasn't just when you were excommunicated. You weren't just excommunicated physically. They would excommunicate people that were dead. Essentially, they were saying, "We're kicking you out of heaven." Which is so buck wild to me.
I don't think they do that anymore.
No, but these, like, the Pope that dug up his enemy, like, that's literally what he's trying to do, is like, I have the power to kick you out of heaven because I don't like you. And I'm sure God's like, that's not how this works. That's not how anything works.
It's my Facebook. It's my wall. Yeah. Anyway.
So speaking of the Inquisition,
I unfriended and unfollowed you.
It's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. I love that meme. So speaking of the Inquisition,
someday we'll explore you and your understanding of memes.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Anyway,
Inquisition.
Yes, I have Inquisition here, and you have does they have a different name, or they just called it Inquisition?
The Emperor's Holy Inquisition.
Inquisition.
It was in the later days of the Horus Heresy. The Emperor went to his bestie, Malcador the Sigillite, and was like, hey...
He's still alive.
No, when the Emperor went to fight Horus...
my butt's asleep.
Because of a galactic-wide oopsie that his another Primarch named Magnus made, the Emperor's little secret project was currently vomiting forth demons.
Oh, okay.
And
was he the one that went down there and fought all of them?
Well, no. The Emperor was holding them back by sitting on the throne.
Oh.
But he had to get off the throne and go fight Horus. So Malcador was like, I'll sit here. And they were like, no, you'll die. It's like,
someone has to.
And he did that. And he gave his life to...
He held it long enough to...
Yep.
Oh
yeah, no, it's...
Have a friend like, what's his name? Malcador?
Malcador, yep.
Malcador the
Sigillite.
Goji. Malcador.
Anyways,
what's the Emperor's name?
Just the Emperor.
Does it have a name?
No, he's literally in
I'm sure he had a name once and they'd forgotten it.
In universe, he's a being known only as the Emperor.
His name is Stan.
And nobody's gonna take you seriously.
It's Emperor Stan! I am dead now. I've been excommunicated to Taurus at this point. But I named the Emperor Stan. So I'm starting a new cult.
No,
the cult of Stan.
The cult of Stan. Jeez Louise. So, during the latter days of the Horus Heresy, the Emperor charges Malcador to find people of character and honor to fight against the enemy come. Long story short, through the process, two different organizations arise. The Grey Knights, which are like Space Marines, but like better, I guess?
What?
They're Space Marines that go through extra training and have psychic cannons.
So they're super Space Marines.
Kind of, yes.
Okay, and their job is
demon hunting.
Okay,
and then
we're not talking about them.
We should
talk about demons sometime.
We are probably going to because there's so much in media.
Okay.
But the other one is the Inquisition, which is like normal humans. Mm-hmm. And their job was to root out the three main enemies, the Xeno, the heretic, and the demon.
Okay.
So the enemy...
Yeah, Xeno's aliens, because there are aliens, guys, in this world. There's not just humans. There's space orcs,
there's space elves.
Space elves, space goats.
Yep.
And there's like ones that don't get names, but there's like, because there's other planets with aliens on them.
Space bugs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, space bugs, which are just...
There used to be space dwarfs, but they got eaten.
The reskinned...
Zerg, basically.
Yeah, reskinned Zerg.
Pretty much.
Or maybe the Zerg reskinned them.
I think that's how the story... I've heard 3 different stories on that. Anyways.
Space bugs that are just come in swarms, it's just a common theme. And it's scary, and in space, bugs in space that come at you endlessly, that's scary.
Yeah.
So...
And spiders freak me out. That's neither here nor there. So,
so the
Inquisition is basically
they get cool hats.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
That's that Inquisition. We're talking about the fantasy.
Oh, wait, mine. Okay, I pictured them. I said weird that I pictured them in the exact same outfits but with more belts. Like, hello, I am future Inquisitor. So I have a hat, I have a cool robe and more belts.
I will say this. They're not all dressed that way because
and sunglasses.
They like the Inquisition, as far as an organization, is about as diverse a bunch as you could find anywhere. Like, there's so many different kinds and types of Inquisitors, but the Inquisitor...
But they all have a hat.
They don't all have a hat, but the Inquisitor
they just always wear it.
From Dawn of War 2, she, like, that literally you described her outfit.
I know, that's the only one I think of.
Yeah.
She's just the Inquisitor from the Spanish Inquisition, but with a hat.
But in space.
And in space.
In space, yes.
So, yeah, the Inquisition's basically job is to seek out hearsay.
Heresy.
Heresy.
Well, heresy and traitors, mutants.
Yeah.
All
that's
that
all.
stuff.
If, like, you know,
and they're sort of a secret
if they're there,
police.
then someone's doing heresy. Then, right?
Usually,
it's all against the emperor. So it's all the same thing, right?
Well, heresy to them is pretty much if you break the law, since the law is divine and it comes from the emperor, quote unquote. Then if you break the law, that's heresy.
Yeah. And I mean, it's different from planet to planet.
Yeah.
And how well it's forced and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, so the Inquisition probably is my favorite part of 40K.
Okay.
Because it gets down to the nitty-gritty human side of things.
Yep.
You got the big space battles with the big space marines and the demons and the spaceships and the doom. And then you got like the big massive planets which are all like, some planets are just like all city.
Yep.
And like that. And then you got like the farming planets, and you got like, it's just, and you get down to this Inquisitor just goes there because they get a hint of something, they're told to go there, they get like something comes up, they go, well, I'll look into it. They go there and they find out like there's a cult just nestled in here somewhere, or like, I guess it's very Cthulhu feel to me.
It actually, I never really thought about that.
Like, here's normality life. People living their normal life, and then, there's a cult.
It does?
There's this dark entity. There's a, some alien demon infection. There's not the Zerg. What are they?
Well, there's
what are the bug guys?
Aren't
there undead ones too?
The Tyranids.
Are the Tyranids undead?
No, the Tyranids are the bugs. They're the Necrons are the undead. Or they're robots.
Yeah,
something.
Undead robots. But yeah, like there's these little like planets get infected. It's just so like
Lovecraftian.
Like
I never really thought. I've read
you
the
literally ran one game with a Lovecraft.
Right, but I've read the Eisenhorn trilogy, and I never really put that. You're right,
because it's also a PI, like it's a subtle investigation. Yeah. It's like Private Eye meets Lovecraft, in space. And that's the cool part to me. That's probably the part and next to the orcs, because orcs are my favorite.
Red ships go fast!
I love orcs. Anyway, we don't have a lot of time left, so I did some Inquisition. I summarized it. There were multiple Inquisitions.
Yep.
The famous one, of course,
is Spanish Inquisition,
because no one expects it.
Yeah, no one expects it.
But so most of my research comes off the Spanish Inquisition because it was the most popular. The Spanish Inquisition started because the monarchs of the time in Spain, were like, man, we want to unite everybody under one religion and one culture. So we got to root out people speaking heresy.
That are different. Yeah, different.
AKA, we want to get rid of the Jews.
Yep.
Or anybody who doesn't believe like us, but mostly the Jews.
Yeah.
But it did do a lot more than that. I basically did a Q&A here, which was kind of weird. Like, was there only one? No, there actually was another one. There was multiple. But another famous one was during the Dark Ages, when it focused specifically on heresy. Like, this specifically uniting under one religion. Mm-hmm. This literally just was like rooting out heresy. That's probably, the Dark Ages also had to deal with a lot of more witchy things. I know the Inquisition did some too, but the Inquisition is actually quite a bit later. Like, it's near the 1800s.
Yeah.
But, which, I guess I could have looked at the Dark Age one because I might fit our theme better, but it's fine. So, how was it run? It was ran by 6 members of a council called the Suprema.
That's a cool name.
They met every morning and saw cases. They met for 2 hours in the morning. They saw like the more danger, like the cases are the true heretics, the faith-based heresies and things like that. The ones that need to solve. Right?
Yeah.
Are you guilty? And they sometimes later on in the evening will deal the lesser sins, bigamy and sexual sins.
So it was wake up, 2 hours of cases, light lunch. And then, more heresy.
I don't know. I just think it's interesting how, like, these heresy ones were way more important. Yep. Like, sometimes they would see these ones that dealt with, like, this guy slept with my wife. Or, this one slept with my daughter against her will. You know, like things like that. Yeah, it literally said sexual sins. So, like, those weren't as important.
Okay. Sure.
And then bigamy is when, like, one guy's, like, marries one lady, and then he goes to another town and marries another lady, and goes to another town and marries, and he has, like, 3 wives that don't know about each other. They did this a lot.
Yeah.
I guess it's really hard to catch up with people in this time period.
Well, because they didn't have, like,
yeah,
records and stuff.
It's a lot more complicated than what I'm explaining. Mm-hmm. Okay, the Suprema. But then they would have 2 inquisitors and a persecutor on cases like that would go, when they would go to town, to be like 2 inquisitors that would go. So they would go to a town. They always had 2.
Yeah.
From what I understood, because one, they had to keep each other accountable. It was their job to keep each other accountable.
Okay.
They also could forgive each other. It comes into play. You'll see.
Okay.
So they would go and they'd have a trial, and only one of them, which had the name of it, but I didn't write it down. It was their job to detain, jail, and, torture. Only one of them had that job. Okay. And then there was the persecutor. I'm assuming they're the one that decided. The persecutor's the one that said you did it, probably. Yeah. Didn't really. So torture, right? Yes and no. This is actually something that's really argued, is how much torture actually went on. Okay. Yes, we have these torture devices that were not necessarily all used by the Inquisition. They were just things they had for other reasons. Because, there was a monarchy who wasn't necessarily... Hold on, my notes messed up here. There was a monarchy, who, wanted to get rid of people.
You need some entertainment on a Saturday night.
Good, thank you. And most of it was like a fear rumor thing.
Oh, yeah.
But because they weren't allowed to kill the people they were questioning. You were not allowed to cause them to die. Okay. You could torture them, but you weren't so allowed. Torturing was technically illegal. You weren't supposed to torture them. But when you could be forgiven for the act, torturing still happens. When you had 2, so you could go, I forgive you, brother, for accidentally killing that person. Gotcha. They had, it's actually debated on how many people actually were killed by this. A lot of them were just driven out. They found people, because the easiest way during this time period to find people was to go to a town with a community, a congregation, and I bet that congregation would flip out when the Inquisitors came to town. Probably. Because neighbors would just blame each other. Like, it was all about power grab. Because it was much easier to say someone was a heretic, because you didn't have to prove it.
This is sounding eerily familiar to something that happened in the Americas.
Yes, the witch trials were based on a very similar thing.
Yeah. Man, history repeats itself.
And it was just, because you wanted their land, you wanted their wives, you were mad they said something mean about you. Like, vendettas, grudges, this is how people actually would do this to each other. It was actually very cruel. If you were found guilty, well, yes and no. You were pretty much decided you were guilty. Like, very rarely did they find you not guilty. But did you own up to it? If you said, yes, I'm guilty, I did the thing, I repent, they would give you a penance of some sort. Maybe lashes, maybe you had to pay, give up your land, go on a pilgrimage. There's a whole bunch of things. A whole bunch of Hail Marys. Go to this church over there and serve, work for them for a while. Yeah. Go to send ye to a monastery, or nunnery. Now, if you didn't admit it, usually that's when the death kind of came in.
So it was like the Salem witch trials, because usually in those, like, half the people that admitted, yes, I signed the devil's book, and they did it because...
And you got excommunicated sometimes, too, like this. Yeah. Let's see, I have one more thing. So, it's debate on how many people died. Mm-hmm. We just know a lot of Jews were misplaced. We know a lot of people of other cultures and beliefs were misplaced. They were pushed out of the communities. They were pushed out of their life because they didn't believe the same way. It's the normal thing that the church has done again and again when they wanted to control people. Yep. Instead of letting them choose for themselves. Yep. So there's some that say only 1% out of the 125,000 people that were put on trial died. Yep. But some will say no, there was a lot more than that. So there's no records. Like, there are records, but that's not consistent because of the time period. So it's really hard to say. I'm going to lean towards a lot more people. I think I'm in the camp that a lot of people died. Yeah. I'm in the camp that because you could get forgiven for your things. You had so much power over people's lives. I'm sure a lot of people died. Yeah. Especially people of color, especially Jews, and especially
people that were other.
So
we're back to the alien there.
Yeah. So definitely 40K is heavily inspired by the Inquisition, by the Catholic Church, by the papacy, by the bad papacy, by the twisting of religion to control people. Because that's definitely what happened here. It went from the emperor to a god. Yep. He went from being just an emperor to a god. Yep.
Which he didn't want.
No, but he can't do anything about it now.
And so you probably might, if you're listening, because we are going to wrap this up, you probably, if you're listening, like, why are we, if both of us are Christians, why are we basically spending an hour using 40K to dog on Christianity? It's not so much that. I think it's important that we acknowledge the failings that we have had. The church, the small c, so you've got big C and little c church. You've got church.
You've got the bride of Christ.
The bride of Christ, which is what Jesus talks about, is holy and sanctified and all that. Then you have the actual, the little c, the church, the place, the community around it. And that unfortunately is made up of people. And though
I mean, it's both fortunate and unfortunate.
Yeah.
You don't want an empty church. It's not a church then.
Right, it's not. Like, as Christians, we do strive to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. That's the entire purpose of being a Christian. But we're also fallen and broken
Follow
people.
the teachings of Jesus Christ and to bring salvation to others.
Yes.
And it's not just I guess that's part of Jesus Christ, but
yeah, that's what he did.
I know. I just felt so simplified. I was like, wait, that's too simple. But I guess it is simple.
It's simple, but it's also hard.
Yeah.
But
simple doesn't mean easy.
Yeah, we're still humans, and we're still.
Well, it's corruption.
Yeah, we still have that
there's
corruption.
Sin and greed and power. And when you put people in power and say, hey, I'm the voice of God, or hey, I know this because God speaks to me alone, like we talked about, that's what the two cults that broke up from the Mormon church, they're led by men who say, I am a descendant from Jesus Christ. I know what he wants.
Yep.
I am the prophet, thus you must listen to everything I say and never question me.
Yep.
You know what people did all the time in the Bible?
They questioned
Jesus all the time.
All the time.
Did Jesus ever say, don't question me?
No.
He answered their questions.
Yep.
They may not have understood those questions, but the same things happen like in 40K. You question the emperor. You question...
Or you question the divinity of the emperor. Oh.
Or you question and you are...
That's a good way of getting a bolter to the face.
Yeah. It's kind of a dark reflection of how the church has been, and parts of it is still struggling with, is... being both compassionate and understanding and reaching to the lost and the weary, but also, not being a doormat.
Yeah, like there's a point...
holding our ground and going, this is what Jesus Christ calls us to be.
Yeah.
This is what truth is.
Yeah, there's you take that stand, but you're also not using that as a platform to say, I'm greater than you, because we all have junk in our lives. Mm-hmm. All of us. And it's only through the grace of Jesus Christ that those sins, that corruption can be cleansed. And I think
the emperor can't do that.
The emperor cannot do that. And I think it's so important that we look at these failings in our history and acknowledge them, because so many people look at these failings and it's uncomfortable and it's icky and we want to distance ourselves from it.
Yeah, hiding history and...
It's a good way of repeating it.
And softening that's blow.
Yeah.
Like, if you read... I guess when you think about, like, when we're children, we read our Bible stories to our kids or whatever, and we have those cute little books, and they do a Bible story, and you read it, and then you get older and you read the Bible story, and you're like, oh...
Yeah.
Wait, they left out, like David and Bathsheba, they left out a lot.
Yeah.
They left out a lot of details.
And you notice the Bible doesn't, like, it would have been very easy for the Bible, like the story of David, because David was a man after God's own heart, that part about David and Bathsheba? Yeah, no.
Yeah. Like,
but no, they left it in there because they're showing
David messed up a lot.
Yeah.
And I think one of the problems we have with it is we put him on a pedestal. As Christians, we put David on this pedestal of this, he's the man after God's own heart, and we don't reflect hard enough on the failings he had a lot of failings, and just like the church is the bride of Christ after God's heart. It's a reflection of what we should be under the love of Jesus Christ, but we in the church have failed on multiple times. I mean, we're beating a dead horse at this point. Keep saying the same thing over and over.
So,
but yeah,
I think it's very important to acknowledge history and not to shy away from it, because otherwise, if you try to hide it and you put it in this closet, that's how it festers, and that's how stuff repeats itself.
And that's how Warhammer 40K is a great way to reflect on the failings of church through history and how we can take those lessons and try to do better. Also, just to realize that just how much media has taken and used our mess ups and our cool images and iconography and all that to create other cool stories and worlds and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's, for a male power fantasy, it's very cool.
Sometimes it's a little bit, hurts a little bit because that's a jab at...
Yeah. So, thank you for listening to Faithful Nerds, and thank you to Steve Rue for letting us use his jazz album opening song in our intro. Please check out Steve Rue and his fantastic piano and musical talent. We are an opinion podcast, and while we do our research, we encourage our listeners to take a look for themselves, explore their faith, and always remember that God loves them.
I would also like to encourage you, if you like this podcast, go ahead and give us a rating on whatever podcast device that you use. And
like and share. I don't know. Can you do that? I believe you can. Like and share, subscribe, follow,
and leave a comment. Oh, yeah. We would love to hear from any of you that are listening. It's not only something that helps the podcast grow, but it also kind of gives us, it that sense of community that I like.
We are also now on Facebook under Faithful Nerds. You can look us up.
And
we are also on Twitter under Faithful Nerds. Are at FNN. I can't quite remember. You probably can find it if you search for it. It's the same logo. I have not done a thing with it yet, but I will.
Okay, so with all that out of the way, we are going to leave you with our random Bible verse. Bible verse taken completely out of context. Take it away.
2 Chronicles 30, verse 17. Since many in the crowd had not consecrated themselves, the Levites had to kill the Passover lambs for all those who were not ceremonially clean and could not consecrate their lambs to the Lord.
All right. Well, thank you for watching.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Sean Marr. And in the words of the immortal Wolfwood, go with God.